Hey guys, this is Paul Street from Nexus-Studios. I'm going to give you a short presentation on speed growth in you. This is about the Speed Overhaul and Final Fantasy Tactics Rebirth. An overview of what we're going to go over in this presentation is what is speed growth. We're also going to cover speed growth in normal vanilla Final Fantasy Tactics, alternative speed growth systems we've seen throughout the community, primarily from Final Fantasy Tactics, and the speed growth system in Project Bahamut, which was the internal designation for Final Fantasy Tactics Rebirth. So the first topic we're going to cover is what is speed growth. For most people who've been modding Final Fantasy Tactics, they'll have a pretty good handle on it, and for anyone who's familiar with the Battle Mechanics Guide, will also have a pretty good handle on it. For all of you who don't, I'm going to give you a quick explanation of it. Speed growth is basically speed in Final Fantasy Tactics is determined by two things: speed growth and a speed multiplier. Speed growth is used when you're leveling up with a given class, and it changes the character's base speed. So let's say the difference between a chemist and a ninja is that when you level up as a ninja, there's a higher chance, or you'll gain more speed over a certain amount of levels than you would as a chemist. So let's say from levels 1 to 10 as a ninja, you'd gain 3 speed. But from levels 1 to 10 as a chemist, you'd gain 1 speed. That's what speed growth is. That's what we mean when we're talking about speed growth. Now, speed multiplier is something completely different. It's a modifier that's applied to your character's base speed. So that if you're one class and you change a class, let's say you're a chemist and you change to a ninja, you're going to see an increase in your character's speed, like on the little character screen. You'll see their speed go up. That's because ninjas have a different multiplier than chemists. It's actually higher in vanilla tactics. So you're looking at the multiplier, which is just changes your base speed, like maybe a ninjas have an additional 20% speed and chemists have 20% less speed. And then speed growth, we'll go talking about speed growth again, talking about a change to your base speed. So that's what is eventually multiplied by the multiplier. Now, I'll explain it in vanilla tactics, might give you a better feel for it. Speed growth in vanilla Final Fantasy Tactics. Generally, your speed would grow from 6 to 11, going from level 1 to 99. Now, the speed growth is drastically different between certain classes. Ninjas, from 1 to 99, maybe your speed growth would be from 6 to 15. And for another class that was slower, it might only be 6 to 9. That results in a system that can get really abused if you think about it carefully. So let's say when you level up 1 to 99 as a ninja, you gain lots of speed. But when you level up 1 to 99 as any other class, you gain significantly less speed. Well, a lot of people use this in the original game, for anyone who power gamed a whole lot, to basically uncap their speed growth. You level up from 1 to 99 as a ninja, and let's say you gained 5 or 6 speed. Well, if you leveled down as a class that didn't gain speed as much, you'd lose less speed also. So this ended up in, hey, you'd level up from 1 to 99 as a ninja, go from 6 to 15 speed. Then you level down as a chemist. You go from 15 speed down to 12 speed maybe, because you wouldn't gain that much speed, you leveling up as a chemist. You could level up through level down traps, or some of the specific monsters could level you down. Well, that means when you're back at level 1, you could level up as a ninja again, but instead of starting out at 6, you start out at 8. Besides that, now, of course, that can pretty much ruin everything balance-wise mid and late game, because you've got characters who are way faster than most abilities. Even in the normal game, though, spells and abilities are super slow in the late game. Like all the powerful ones take multiple turns to cast, which doesn't make any sense. Almost anyone's running this with a high-level mage. You try to cast something like Meteor, or maybe even like Bolt 4 or Ice 4, and you cast it, and your guy has to wait through an entire other turn before that spell takes effect. So essentially, you could have casted 2 other spells instead of waiting 2 turns to cast one, in which you have to be charging and you take more damage. So the speed growth in vanilla tactics isn't that bad, but essentially in the late game it gets broken very easily, and the balance kind of just falls apart, I'd say, after Chapter 2. Alternative speed growth systems. So there are a couple ways the community has thought about how to fix this. A couple I've seen. The most popular ones are you switch to a tactics ogre system, where you're focusing on growth rather than multipliers. So under this system, we take all the multipliers and we make them all the same. So that it doesn't matter if you're a chemist and you switch to a ninja, your speed stays the same. The only difference in between the classes would be they'd grow their speed at a different rate, which makes some logical sense if you think about it this way. Let's say you're a ninja from level 1 to 50. Well, switching to a chemist should make you slower, right? That wouldn't make any sense. You've gained all your skills as a ninja, why shouldn't you keep those benefits? Now that does make some logical sense, but it's even more open to abuse than the initial vanilla Final Fantasy Tactics system, and that the multipliers don't matter at all, so you might as well just stick with the classes that increase speed all the time. So you might as well just stay a ninja all the time since their speed growth is so much higher than everyone else. The system's alright, but I think it's more open to abuse, and a lot of the team thought it was more open to abuse, and just generally wasn't that good, because then you have less of an incentive to change classes. You'd stay in one class, and you might as well just stay in that class and keep all the abilities, because you get no immediate advantage to switch into a ninja or anything like that. The next alternative was the item-based system. So it's a pretty robust system. Let's say you make all the growth and multipliers for all the classes the same. You make everyone, let's say, will go from 6 to 11 in speed, and changing a class wouldn't change your speed at all. The only way you differentiate speed between classes would be if you gave certain pieces of equipment boosts in speed. So let's say you make daggers and ninja swords have increase in speed. So that way chemists and ninjas are faster, not because of some inherent statistic, but rather because of the equipment they're using. It's a pretty robust system. It actually makes some things interesting, like you want a ninja to use ninja swords instead of another type of sword, other things like that. It's a pretty good system. It does have some downsides. The primary ones I thought of were it makes equipment breaks and maintenance unbelievably good. In the normal game, maintenance and equipment breaks are pretty good, and you should always have access to them when you're fighting battles. If you went to an item-based speed system, if you didn't have one of those abilities, you just wouldn't want to show up, because you just immediately get broken and lose all those cool speed growth abilities or all the speed from your items, which would make your character class lose its inherent advantages. Another fix was created by Philsov at Final Fantasy Tactics. We call it the Phil fix, short for Philsov. And his fix was you change all the speed growths and make all the speed growths the same, but you keep the multipliers. This is even more robust than an item-based class or an item-based system, because basically all the speed a character has is the only thing that's determining that is what class they are. Now, some people say this isn't very good because you've got speed growth that they think being a class for a certain period of time should give you some kind of advantage. Under this system, it doesn't really matter what class you are for an extended period of time. It only matters that you're in that class. It only matters that you're what class you are, not what class you've been. So tactics. So if we go over all the systems again, Tactics Ogre system only matters what classes you've been. Item-based system doesn't matter what class you've been or are. It's just what equipment you can use. The field-based system only matters what class you are.